It's a coach's night that now breaks in a few different directions, both in defeats, the on-field and the off-field. It's complicated. It's complicated for the Dockers, and for the Tigers it intensified somewhat tonight. So their coaches join us in the aftermath of round 8 with their fortunes just in something of a flux. Damian Hardwick, welcome back to AFL 360.
Evening, gents. Perfect timing. Perfect.
And Justin Longmuir, we're going to ask for patience at the start. It's nice to have you on the show.
Thanks, Gerard. Thanks, Robbo.
Justin, should you be on the Gold Coast? Is it necessary to be away from home at the moment? Did you just check in, given the way that the situation seems to have calmed in Perth?
Yeah, well, in hindsight, but you can't really make judgment on these things in hindsight. You have to judge them in the moment, and that's what the AFL did, and we obliged, and we're up here, so that's our fate at the moment. So, yeah, it is what it is.
Did anyone ask for it to be reviewed and revisited?
No, well, because once we're up here, it's just too hard to travel twice, 2 away games in a row, travel across the country. It just automatically almost, makes the second game difficult to win. So once we're up here, we just decided to stay and cop our lot. And, the Brisbane game is a little bit different because it's more of a fixture swap. So we get that home game back later in the year. So it'll even out across the season.
On the field, Justin, last week was unacceptable. I'm sure you thought that. And yesterday, for a half, it wasn't fantastic. Do you get really pleased that you're able to come home and get within 4 goals with Brisbane at home? Or do you get really frustrated that you let the game slip so far away in the first place before you got it together?
No, it's probably frustration because we had a few plans going into the game and we didn't feel like we executed them very well, especially in that second quarter where we let it slip. And the start of the third quarter was pretty ordinary as well. I was pretty happy with the way the players connected and stayed together and fought it out to the end. But we've got to be better at the start. We can't be giving away 3-goal head start in the first quarter on the road to a good team. So. Plenty to review and plenty to learn from.
Please be honest. When the coaches come on this show, when you say we had plans and they didn't work, can you just open up a little bit for everyone sitting at home? What were some of these plans that you went in to nullify Brisbane or to advance yourself that didn't work?
Well, first and foremost, our basics and the fundamentals of our game weren't good enough in the first half, and they were much better at that. But I think that the simple thing is we played a little bit too straight, which played into their defenders in particular hands. They've got some really strong key posts down there and some really good ground level players, and we just played a little bit too straight. Thought in the second half we were a little bit braver with the footy and were able to change angles, and then that led to marking the ball a little bit more in our front half, which is something we wanted to do all game, but we just couldn't buffer their pressure and do the basics well enough to expose that, I suppose, in the first half.
You were belted up on the weekend.
Yeah.
Is there a possibility that could, not a scar, but leave a little demon in your head? But everyone's looking, wow, look what Geelong did to Richmond. They belted them up. Yeah. They went at them. They hunted them, and look what happened. Could that be a little bit of a...
I'm going to give you an insight to a coach's psyche.
Yeah.
So when you lose a game, for some unknown reason, you have this feeling that you'll never win another game. That's the reality of the situation. You always can't see where your next win's coming from. But then we go back and we look at the evidence about how we play and what we do well, and we build ourselves up. There's no doubt the players will be the same. But that's our job, I reckon, as a coaching fraternity, as a leadership group and as a playing group, to understand when we play our very best footy, we are very, very hard to beat. We're not playing our best footy at the moment. We've got some work to do.
What a cruel way to live.
It's a tough gig, mate. There's no more lonely a job when you lose a footy game. Justin's nodding in the background, knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Hey, so Justin, can you empathise with some of what Dimmer's just said?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We've gone through the last couple of weeks where we haven't played our best footy, and I think sometimes you feel like there's so many aspects of your game that aren't working for you. So, and the players can only consume so much information. So, as a coach, it's your job to make sure you give them bite-sized bits that they can take away and implement, and hopefully get a better result. So, yeah, it's constantly going through your head what you need to feed the players and what they can work on. So, yeah, I fully understand what Dim is saying.
Tim is disappointed, Justin. He's won 3 flags and it's a hard life. So good luck on your journey.
Good side for you.
They are. Yeah. I need to ask you about Nat 5. And it's only his goal kicking. We can all say it's only his goal kicking. He's one of the greats, Nat 5. When he's kicking like he's kicking, it's more so last week. I think he got 1-3 on the weekend. When he's playing or kicking like that, what do you speak to him about that, or do you just leave him to get over his own demons?
No, we have conversations about it, and it's more just me asking what's going through his mind, because when you're a player of Nat's calibre and status, there's a lot of people that want to give you advice, and I'm sure it's coming from every direction at him. So I just my advice to him is just to make sure that he's really clear on his process. I actually said to him the other day that his field kicking is actually really good. Kick ratings through the roof. He's really worked on that side of his game. So I'm pretty sure it'll translate to goal kicking in the near future. We've just got to get a few away first and get the confidence up.
Is he finding it difficult? There was sort of a bit of gallows humour to the smiles it looked like as it was unfolding last night.
Yeah, absolutely. The fact that we're talking about it now, it puts pressure on him every time he gets the ball in front of the big sticks. So, a lot of my communication is to him that the majority of his game is going really well. He's leading us really well on and off the field. He's dominating aspects of the game, and this is just one little aspect he's got to get right, and it'll just round him off really well. So, I know he's doing the work, and I know it'll click at some stage.
Has the move from deliberate out of bounds to insufficient intent been good for the game, or the source of constant frustration broadly?
I think the overriding theory behind it is good. The consistency is poor, from my point of view. I just think it's too... I couldn't tell you which are going to be paid and which aren't going to be paid.
So we had extremes on the weekend. That will never make any sense. So I think we just put that down as a rank error.
Yeah.
Gone for goal.
Yeah. Well, George, yeah. Jason.
Justin, are you in on this one? This is no.
Yeah, absolutely. There's some aspects which are just wrong calls, and I'd like the AFL to make sure they put them out there. That they're just wrong calls, because it does put grey in some of these areas. And we're just after consistencies. So, and then that's what our players are after as well. Hey,
just take me to the coaching technique around the collision between Selwood and Mansell. So if you're talking to your young player, what's the technique here?
Yeah, poor technique by Ryan. We spoke about this at length today in match committee. We teach our players to step over the ball, and it's great technique by Joel. It's poor by Ryan, and he's only been our system for a small period of time, but. Yeah, the head-high stuff, and once again, this is starting to creep back in the game too. And not saying Ryan did this, but players are leading with their head, they're dropping at the knees, they're doing the shrug, and that to me, at this day and age with concussion and what we're going through at the moment, we shouldn't have players setting the example to the junior levels by trying to attract free kicks, making the umpire's job harder. So it should be frowned upon from my point of view, from a playing point of view, but also from a coaching point of view. It's not on.
So Justin, how diligent are you in trying to coach a technique where players don't lead with their heads?
Oh, absolutely. I agree with everything Tim had just said. It's all about protecting the head. We've got to look after that. And we talk about technique, getting in low and hard, side on. So, I've got no issues with what Joel did there, and that's why we would coach our players to do it as well.
And Justin, could you see that you had a 19th man on the field as the game was going to start?
No, I didn't pick it up, to be honest. I must have been looking at the other end. I spoke to Willow about it. Clearly, he didn't look at the match-up board as we went out to play. He usually starts on the field. In fairness to him, and this week we didn't start him on the field only because of match-up. So he got the message real late, and thank God he got it before they bounced it.
That's brilliant.
That is funny. Justin, good luck on the Gold Coast. We'll see you in Melbourne on the weekend. Thanks for your time tonight.
Thanks, lads.